Coming up on Winning Bets, I've got your Friday MLB card and your Saturday NASCAR bets. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Jason Mattis with Winning Bets. Thanks for hanging out with me on this episode. Really glad to have you guys as we move on into the weekend. Still having a good week so far. I wanted to go ahead and hit you guys with my normal Friday MLB card. And then also I've already got some NASCAR picks. You guys know I pour in a ton of research into the NASCAR, doing the research for those 2 free fantasy games that we do. Well, last week we put some of that to actual real money bets and we won some bets. We want to dip back into that again today. Before we do that, let me remind yourself there are two NASCAR races this weekend, one Saturday, one Sunday, and each of our Finish Line app and our NBC Sports Predictor app, they're each giving away $25,000 on Saturday, and then they're going to also give away the $10,000 on NBC Sports Predictor app, and then they'll repeat that same thing again on Sunday. So we can go ahead and look for that. The video for those will end up being 4 games, 2 on each day. That'll drop either Friday night or Saturday morning, so you guys can look for that. I'm excited for this weekend's race. But first, let's start off with these NASCAR bets, and let's put this NASCAR research to use. You guys know I pour in hours of research into these NASCAR bets, and I'm really excited for this weekend's race there at Michigan, both Saturday and Sunday. The lines are only out for Saturday, so we're only going to be able to get some bets in for the Saturday's race. It's at Michigan. It's a nice 2-mile cookie-cutter track. We're going to do some head-to-head matchups, and the first one we're going to do is Martin Truex Jr. over Kyle Busch. Look, we faded Kyle Busch last weekend, and we got a win. It was actually against Martin Truex Jr. too. The sports books are asking you to put a bet in on Kyle Busch, and that's because Kyle Busch is an absolutely stinking right now, but the books are cleaning you out right now on the name recognition for Kyle Busch. But they're not taking our money. We're taking the sports book money last week, and we're just like we're going to do this week. Fade Kyle Busch until he can turn it around and show us that he can have better results. So that'll be one head-to-head matchup. The other head-to-head matchup we'll do is Custer over Reddick. You'll find out in my NASCAR preview for the big fantasy jackpots how big I am on Custer this weekend, but I'm really big on Custer going in, so I'll take him over Reddick. Oh, sorry, by the way, the Truex Jr. was minus 134 over Kyle Busch, and the Custer is plus 108. So real good money there for a driver that I like, and again, I'll feature him more on the NASCAR preview show for those fantasy jackpots. The third we want to do is Alex Bowman over William Byron. That comes in at minus 125. Bowman's a driver that I'm really high on this week. He performed really well at Fontana, which is a track that mirrors this one here at Michigan. So I'm going Alex Bowman at minus 125 over Byron. And then the last we want to do here is Eric Jones over Clint Bowyer. Again, you guys will watch my full NASCAR preview for the fantasy games, and you'll get a more in-depth breakdown of why I like these drivers. But again, Eric Jones over Clint Bowyer is just a real good, should be a nice matchup for us at minus 125. Guys, I'm so confident in my NASCAR research. I'm confident in these head-to-head matchups. Why don't we do a little parlay? But just in case Kyle Busch decides to wake up and get his head out of his ass this weekend, let's leave Kyle Busch or the Martin Truex out of this parlay. Let's just do a 3-way parlay of Custer, Bowman, and Jones, and that comes in at plus 574. It's real monster odds there at plus 574. Now, guys, I just want you to take a little bit and sprinkle a little bit. I'm going to do a third of a unit. So whatever your unit is, just sprinkle a third of a unit. Not asking you to put down a whole unit, but let's just do what I'm doing. A third of your unit, sprinkle it on this little parlay of Custer, Bowman, and Jones at plus 574. And let's see if we can't get that baby to hit. All right, guys, don't forget, I got the NASCAR preview video coming out for the 2 fantasies, 2 $25,000 jackpots and 2 $10,000 jackpots. That video will come out either later Friday evening or that'll come out Saturday morning early, so you can look for that one to come out. All right, let's move on to Friday's MLB card. Our first matchup is going to be the Rockies versus the Mariners. There's a lot to like up here in this matchup in terms of the Rockies. The Rockies bullpen sits in about the top 5 in the major leagues. And I'm using ERA, FIP, WHIP, and opponent's batting average here. While the Rockies sit at about top 5, the Mariners are in about the mid-20s. So a real big discrepancy there. The Rockies offense is in the top 10 overall. but they're second in batting average and in the top 3 in on-base percentage. So an offense that should definitely be able to capitalize here on the bullpen. But I think they'll also be able to capitalize on the starter because the starters for the Mariners isn't really that strong. The Mariners offense, they're middle of the road, in terms of their offense, but they're second in the league in striking out. And I think the Rockies bullpen at 9.08 Ks per 9 will be able to take advantage. So I've got 2 bets for this game. We're going to go Rockies run line at plus 135. Again, I like the offense going up against that weak bullpen of the Mariners and a weak starter. And the Rockies also have one of their aces going on the mound, so to speak. And I'm also going to take Rockies team total over 4.5 at minus 108. Again, I just see the Rockies absolutely raking. If you're only going to do one of these bets, the Rockies run line at plus 135 or the Rockies team total over 4.5 at minus 108, if you only wanted to bet one of these, I would say go ahead and do the team total. You never know what's going to happen with the result of the game, but I feel confident with the strength of the Rockies offense versus really the weakness of the Mariners bullpen and the weakness of their starter going. I feel confident of the team total if you're only willing to do one of those 2 bets. All right, guys, let's move on over to the Braves versus the Phillies. Look, this matchup here is going to be all about the Braves. The Phillies have a really bad starter going. They have Velasquez gone. His numbers so far this season have been terrible. His career numbers aren't really that, anything to really stand out about, so I'm not really liking him. And the Cubs bullpen is worse than ERA, worse than WHIP, worse than opponent's batting average, and 4th in FIP. So I think that the Braves will be able to tag the starter for multiple runs for sure. On the off chance that maybe they can't, this bullpen that the Phillies are going to roll out is absolutely terrible. They're coming off a doubleheader 2 days ago, and yesterday they clawed their way to a 5-4 victory over the Yankees, and they used their good bullpen arms in that game. So we should definitely get not a very good performance out of that Phillies bullpen. So the bet here in this game is Braves team total over 4.5, and that comes in at minus 127. All right, guys, the last bet on the Friday slate that we want to do is going to be the Diamondbacks versus the Padres. Both of these offenses are about average. They sit about middle of the league here. The Padres bullpen, though, is top 10 or top 5 in those categories that I think that matter to me in the bullpen. Again, ERA, FIP, WHIP, and opponent's batting average. The Padres sit top 5, top 10 across those categories. Or the Diamondbacks in those same categories, they either sit outside the top 10 or more towards the upper teens. So definitely the bullpen goes more towards the Padres. Diamondbacks, don't really have the greatest of bullpen. Offenses are average. I do think the Padres, this is where this bet though comes down to. The starters for each of this team are no good. They're getting lit up this season. Both of these starters, if you go look at their numbers, they're just not been on the right side so far this season. So 2 really weak starters gone in this bullpen. A Diamondbacks bullpen that isn't that great. A Padres bullpen that I think you can get to, even though that they have good stats. I'm going to go here, bet the over 8.5, and this leans really a lot on these 2 starters, a lot here in this. But over 8.5 runs comes in at minus 105. So those are the 4 bets I like. Again, I like the Rockies team total of 4.5 over at minus 108. I like the Rockies run line at plus 135. I like the Braves going over their team total of 4.5 for minus 127. And I like the Diamondbacks Padres game to go over 8.5, coming in at minus 105. All right, guys, again, don't forget NASCAR fantasy videos coming out. Also, follow me on Twitter. That's at WinningBetsPod. That's at WinningBetsPod. You guys know I can't give you the entire weekend baseball slate. We got to see who is used out of the bullpen on Friday's games before we can predict anything on Saturday and Sunday. I normally don't do videos other than the fantasy games over the weekend, so you'll want to follow me on Twitter for the actual real bets. Otherwise, we'll come back. We've got the 4 NASCAR games, and there's also an NBA contest for $5,000 on the Fox Bet Super 6 contest. So lots of money to be had this weekend. Put our bets in, get our winning action in there, and let's go ahead and do it. All right, guys, I'm Jason Mattis. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this episode of Winning Bets. I'm Jason Mattis. I'll see you again when we are celebrating the wins and making more winning bets. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more winning bets.